to Neurotrain Collaborative. I'm Katie. Aaron and Kelly are here with me today, and we are talking about the importance of play and what that does for your brain, what it does for your body as not only a child, where we often think most of our play should be spent as a child, but the importance of doing it as an adult as well. So, what are your thoughts on play, Aaron and Kelly?
Well, one reason why we wanted to bring this up is because we kind of consider August the back to school month, and learning is about to begin as we go into the school year. And one of the main things that most of the neuroscientists and doctors that have studied play in research have found is that play has a far superior ability for integration of skill and actually growing better density in the cortex and the cerebellum, which is some of our main learning centers. I was just reading this thing on the Z Health Performance Instagram the other day about how the majority of our brain is dedicated to movement and like far outweighs our dedication towards language. And in most learning situations, in school, it's spent listening to language all day long and then reapplying what we thought we learned from that person's teaching or whatever. But movement is actually what we consider the second job of the brain, or the main purpose of why we have a brain, is so that we can actually move and adapt and interact into the world around us. And so I've got 2 kittens right now, which has been so fun. It has brought so much joy into my life each day. And just watching the spontaneity, because I think for most people, the question becomes, what is the purpose of play? Which is like a totally scientific, like boring question to ask. And I think one of the answers I really liked was that there is no purpose to play, that it's purposeless. But if you were to look at the nuts and bolts of play and take away from the actual experience of play, the biological wiring we have is that it prepares us for lots of unique and different, it gives us the ability to evolve better to our environment as we grow into this world. And with wild animals in particular, because there's so many different unique threats that you can't predict in nature, and there's a lot of ambiguity on what danger may or may not be, play actually sets the stage for animals to experiment without a life or death situation being on the line. And it gives you the ability to create and think through and problem solve and try different things without having to have it be planned or structured or rigorous, which I think is really, really cool. But the other definition that they gave was that it's literally just for pleasure. Like there is no, the purpose of it is to do it for pleasure and to experience joy and fun. And that can reinvigorate your energy to participate in whatever you're participating in life, and kind of give you that zap that you need to kind of be even more productive than you were before. So that was, I thought, pretty cool.
Yeah, there's no scoreboard to it either, too. So often we think play, oh, well, that means going to play group sports and keeping score and having a referee and always trying to strive to win. That's not what play is. It's not what it has to be. It can just be kicking a soccer ball around in the backyard with your neighbors or your kids, or your dogs. If they play soccer too, that would be awesome. But it's just supposed to be enjoyable movement where you're not breaking down every little thing. You're not thinking about the way you throw the football or the way you throw a baseball and trying to perfect everything about it. It's just enjoyable movement without real consequence, you know?
And in that sense, because of those things, we actually retain in whatever information is coming out of the situation is retained for longer. So sometimes more powerful memories come from those opportunities that we had for playtime because they were unstructured and because light bulbs are going on during that time that might not otherwise be illuminated when we're doing things that are rote or structured. And so we can remember incidents in our lifetime that had more to do with play than we can when we are sitting or sedentary or doing anything that's rote and much more structured. So adding that element of novelty adds to our ability to learn and take away from those situations. And it also helps us learn how to be compassionate towards one another, because like the kittens or little kids, if they're roughhousing and somebody gets a little bump or bruise or they get hurt, those things are remembered like, oh gosh, well, I don't want that person to feel pain and suffering. So the next time this happens, we're going to do it automatically. It's going to change the way that the environment works for us, even though we're still using that playful and more spontaneous way of interacting with each other. And I love both of those qualities for myself have been a big deal.
Well, I think on top of that, humor is a form of play, and excuse me, one of the teachers that I resonated with the most in my career, that I learned the most from, were hilarious and super funny, and they made it applicable, and it wasn't this dry information that I was trying to digest. And humor and just having fun and irony, all those things are a component of play. That's part of why laughter is such a healing medicine, for most people, and it's because there's this part of, one of the definitions was lack of attention or consciousness of self. So when you're playing, you're not like focused on yourself. You're actually focused on the flow of whatever is happening and interacting and being creative and spontaneous in the moment with whatever that is. Whether it's witty flirting with a partner or goofing off with your children, tickling, playing hide and seek, funny movies, all those things that bring joy into our lives. One of my favorite things to do as a musician is to play with other musicians and not have a structure around what we're doing, but just kind of like jam with each other. And it's because it's like interactive, and we're just listening to each other, and we're playing off of each other's emotions, and we're just messing around and experimenting, essentially. So that was, I thought, also a really cool aspect, because I think so often we get really serious. And as adults, we are told that the only way we can play is in sports. But the truth is that we play a lot. Even if we're watching our favorite sport team on TV and we're talking smack to each other about which team's going to win, that is also a form of bonding. It kind of creates this whole, again, tribal connection, like sense, without having any kind of threat to life or death, on there. And if you cross the line and you hurt somebody's feelings, you can go, oh gosh, that is not what I meant by that. I'm so sorry. And like, it gives us the opportunity to fix it in the moment and recognize like what is actual malintent and what is actual just like a play signal. And I think as animals, they were talking about kittens, like if a cat is got a background of playing a lot as a kitten, or versus I hate that they do these experiments at all, but versus like cats that didn't have the opportunity to play as children, their ability to interact socially is diminished. So they might be really good hunters, but their ability to be able to read social cues, bond with a pride, whatever, isn't there the same way as animals that had the opportunity to play and experience play with other animals. Their social ability is so much better and so much more there.
On top of that, I really love it because, as e-health professionals, we often do a lot of visual vestibular drills, a lot of movement drills, and it's very focused on the joint or the eye or whatever we're working on in that moment. And when you're playing, especially movement types of play, playing catch, wrestling, whatever it is, all of those senses are being calibrated to work together better. Your eyes have to converge and diverge at the same time to see a ball coming at you. You have to be able to read other body language, and you learn from that. And your balance is challenged. You're put in positions that you may not be put in when you are specifically working on a skill. And that's awesome for your brain. That is integrating everything else we have done and will do. It's putting it all together and getting your senses to talk really well together. Kind of oils the machine in a way. And I like that too, where we still get to get our eye drills in, we still get to get our balance drills in, but it's in a fun setting. And like Kelly said earlier, it sticks longer if we're able to do that in a playful setting.
And we know too, this, I was thinking about the study that they did on unfortunate little rats with the very hardcore drugs, that when a rat's in an environment that's not stimulating and not fun or entertaining or novel, then those rats are very prone and very vulnerable to then using things that are not healthy, to diverting their attention to the strategies that are going to give them some kind of novelty or something that interests them, because otherwise their environment is very it doesn't have those things in it. Whereas a rat who's given a playground and has all kinds of interesting things to do and to experiment with and to play around with, and other rats to be with, that those rats are not going to choose the things that are detrimental to their own health and well-being. So it plays a lot into the whole depression side of things and anxiety, that when we have over a long period of time an environment that doesn't give us those things that we need, like just as a human brain or any kind of animal brain, we need that certain amount of that nutrient, that play nutrient, then we aren't as vulnerable to other things that aren't going to be good for us for a long period of time.
Totally.
I like
think-
that. Great point. If you're interested in reading more about play and the importance of it, Play by Stuart Brown is a really excellent place to start. How it shapes the brain, opens the imagination, and invigorates the soul. So if you also have kids that have maybe been out of school for a while, or you took time off during the pandemic and did more homeschooling, this is a really good, important book to read now so that you can understand how to get your kids kind of back on track for the time that they missed, that social time that they missed. This is a really wonderful book. It was written well before COVID ever hit, so it doesn't cover that topic, but you can kind of figure it out just by reading the book about the importance of getting that stimulation.
Well, and even for the parents, I think it might be important for you to maybe look at your own play history and look at what play you were drawn to as a child. Did you like to build things? Were you somebody who loved to climb trees or roughhouse or run around? And what did you get out of that play experience as a child? And then are you currently having anything like that in your life? And if not, how can you create that?
Mhm.
And so that's something to maybe consider, even as I think even more importantly, as an adult and as a parent. Maybe there's ways that you can bring in fun into your home life with your children while they're going back to school, while they're trying to learn things. Yes, homework time is important, but maybe playtime is just as important as homework time. And there could be a good balance of both so that they're getting a well-rounded integration for themselves, but also so that you're getting some fun and some joy in your life as well. Especially after the last 2 years of pandemic, it's been pretty heavy for a lot of people. So
No kidding.
might be the
Yeah.
perfect time to find some joy and some fun to bring into your life.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. We're going to be covering play a lot more in our monthly classes throughout August, and how you can incorporate all of your drills that we've already done, or if you're new to us, how you can incorporate them now into play. Play with yourself, play with friends, play with family members, pets in the family, whatever you've got. We will figure out a way to help you play more. Thanks for
Awesome.
coming.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.